Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back or welcome for the first time to the Electric Vibe podcast. I am one of three co hosts. Unfortunately, tonight, Mr. J. David Silva will not be with us. He has to be with his family for some commitments. But tonight, you've got myself. I am Kurt Hoffman. And my brother from another mother to my left is none other than, sir, Mr. Hucky Austin. Hucky, tell the people what's up.
So am I to your left today? It looks like I'm on top up here.
Oh, yeah, you're up on top, but in my screen, I know. We'll see what happens
Yeah.
when it actually airs. So I got Hucky. Hucky, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm your man, Harlan Hucky Austin. I'm so happy to be here. We got a wonderful show today. I'm excited to talk to an individual that I've actually followed him for several years, and we're going to find out what he's been up to. And without further ado, Kirk, why don't you introduce our guest?
It would be my honor and pleasure so to do, sir. So, when we think about the incredible work ethic that the greatest musicians like Prince has displayed over the decades, it clearly rubbed off on our guest today. Eloy Lasanta is the epitome of jack of all trades and master of many. Of his many roles he takes on in his day to day life, he is a game designer, writer, and founder of Third Eye Games, and will be making an appearance at MomoCon in Atlanta, Georgia, coming up from May 22nd to the 25th at the Georgia World Congress Center. Most people will probably best know him in the Prince community, though, as the host of PrincesFriend channel on YouTube, which, as I last tallied, has well over 34,000 subscribers. If that isn't enough, he is the frontman and chief songwriter of his own musical project, Strays of the World. They released their latest album entitled Disaster last year around December, and it's available on all streaming formats. I just finished listening to the album today. And folks, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome to the Electric Vibe podcast the one, the only PrincesFriend, Eloy Lasanta. Eloy, welcome to the Electric Vibe podcast, sir. How do
Oh,
we find you?
thank you. Wow, you're finding me very humbled right now. I you like had that all written out and it was amazing. That was yeah, it's weird when when you put everything that I do kind of all in a list, it does sound like a lot.
Well, dude, since the last time I had you on in my first iteration and stumbling and fumbling into the Purple Kurt podcast, and now here I am, with an OG on the top here, and with Jay, of course, in here in spirit. Um, you're one of the guys in the Prince community that people have been asking myself, and I've been asking, where have you been? Because we've been missing your voice in the Prince community. So how are you doing? What are you doing? What are you up to, man?
I'm doing very well right now. Um, I'd say for about the last year, I was actually hired to write a really cool novel that I'm
Yes.
working on right now. It doesn't have it, I mean, it kind of has a title, it has a working title, but it's for Choice of Games, which is an interactive novel app that you can get on your phone or your computer.
Oh, cool.
So they hired me to write that, and that is in and of itself a full-time job. So that's probably been about the last year. Of course, it's been, probably about, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years since I've posted regularly on PrincesFriend. So like that can't take all of the blame. Some of the rest of it was honestly not to bring down the mood right up
Yeah.
front. But there was about a good 2 year period there where I took care of my mom who was in
Yeah.
hospital here in my home. And when she passed, I didn't really do a whole lot of anything, let alone, have a great, fun YouTube channel that I was going to all the time. Uh,
Yeah.
so, and as anybody who is a procrastinator knows, the longer you haven't done something, the
Mm.
easier it is to still continue not doing that thing. But the plan is for me to come back definitely this year. I'm hoping this summer, when some of my schedule kind of opens up more, is the plan to come back. And I already have like a ton of ideas for new videos, continuations of other videos. But I mean, the main thing is I kind of also want to get back to basics on the channel because I was kind of going crazy and trying everything under the sun when, the channel started as me going through Prince's catalog. And I kind of just want to return to that and start hitting those album reviews again. Because,
Absolutely.
I miss doing those as much as I love doing all of the other craziness that I came up with on the channel. I even did a game show at one point, which was
Yes,
fun.
you did. Yeah,
Um, but as many opportunities as that channel has, opened up for me in terms of interviewing, I've been able to go on trips, been able to do tons of stuff, as being Prince's friend. Um, it's really not about any of that. It was really all about just celebrating the music. It's not about anything else. So,
absolutely.
I do plan on coming back. I don't have an exact date, but that is the plan, definitely.
Well, we'll be support. And if I can say, I've said this to you privately, but my sympathies and heartfelt condolences. Loss of your mother, losing a parent like that. Myself, fairly recently, my father. I understand how hard it is to not want to do stuff.
Yeah.
But we're glad to hear. I mean, you're always busy. That's if you know anything about this guy, he's always doing something. You're never not doing something.
Yeah.
So
The year that it took me to do the album, that was a lot
sure,
of work, to get that collection of songs. I mean, there were a bunch of songs that didn't make the album, but it is what it is. That's how it works when you're putting together, trying to finely tune, uh, you know, um,
yeah.
the word sequence, an album sequence. It tells a story that imbues the listener with a certain emotion. Some of the stuff has to end up on the cutting room floor, sadly.
Well, I tell you, there's a folks, the new album. So I have to bring up "Strays of the World" is Eloy's musical project that he has, and this is your third album, "Disaster," which came out late last year in December.
Yeah.
Um, Dude, we've talked about your musical influences the last time I had you on here, and many people that associate you with your Princess Friend channel. I brought this up the last time you were on, would immediately assume, oh, he's going to have a lot of Prince influenced type songs, and your influence is much wider than that.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely
Musically,
some Prince in there. I mean, you
oh,
can't
there is.
you can't deny that, I was definitely influenced by Prince. There's no getting around that.
Sure.
I was more influenced by Prince in the songwriting aspect of it and less of the feel of it, right? So
Yeah, sure.
I try to imbue him when it comes to coming up with clever clever wordplay, things like that, and really kind of again kind of telling a story with each song.
Sure.
The my favorite part about this album was that you were actually one of the few people who I sent it to before it even released to give it a
Yeah.
listen to.
Mhm.
And you listened to, the majority of the songs. It
Yep.
wasn't in current sequencing right now. So, and you were like, man, I hear so much Depeche Mode on there.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing is I didn't, I had never listened to any Depeche Mode. So you even just saying that made me go back and listen to a bunch of Depeche Mode, and now like they're one of my favorites. I'm like, oh wow. Here I thought I was being original, but it turns out I was just recreating a bunch of Depeche Mode.
N-
It's kind of
So
fun.
I
It's a nice
nerded out
um,
because there were a couple keyboard patches, and I'm listening to it. I'm going, Jesus, that's a keyboard patch that they would have used on this particular song or that particular song, or even a little bit of craft work
yeah.
was crept up in there. But and then your trademark guitar playing that you on your Paul Reed Smith, which I assume you're still using.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a made in Maryland. I just have to throw out being from Maryland. I have to throw out that's made in Maryland.
Yeah, I have a
Um,
cool PRS. It's got like, doves on the
yep.
the
Oh, that's why a lot of people get it.
yeah.
Well, and let us not forget that Santana, who is a huge influence on Prince, is an exclusive Paul Reed Smith guitar player. So
Oh wow.
I
Didn't
always
know.
have to throw that out there. But this is the darkest album yet, and for me in a good way. I mean, I love. There's a little bit of screamo moment in one of the tracks, and I was like, okay, I didn't realize that was in your arsenal.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
was
know
like,
it was Arsenal either, honestly. The song you're talking about is Cannot Be Changed, and
cannot be changed. Yes. Yeah.
it when I was doing that one, I had a sore throat and I was like, let's just go for it because I was already gravelly that day. And that scream came out really good. And I'm so glad that I was recording because I have yet to be able to recreate that scream the way that I did it that one take. It came
Please
out so
don't.
awesome.
But
Able to do it. I've been able to do it good live. I can do it live too, but it's just sitting down and trying to do it and not in like singing the whole thing. It's hard to do. But no,
sometimes
it
it's,
came out
yeah.
good.
Yeah. I will tell you though, and I texted you this on the way home from work today, as a matter of fact, that Hauntless is probably the way that you end the whole project with Hauntless. Just wow, one of your finest vocal takes I've heard though so far, man.
Thank you for
Seriously,
that. I
that's
mean,
you
the
put a lot in there.
well, thank you. The album itself is kind of about searching for something good and never necessarily being able to find it, and then
Mm,
eventually ending up just utterly alone. So
wow.
that's and like so when you say it's a dark album, it is. Like there's some like playful licks, and it doesn't necessarily sound all that dark, but like the lyrics and everything that I have kind of going on, um,
Hmm.
the idea of it all kind of led to Hauntless. And I actually wrote Hauntless, I think it was like the fifth song that I wrote on the album, but like
Okay,
literally wrote it and I was like, that's going to be the one that ends the album because I just knew it.
you know it.
Once I had it on, once I had it recorded, I was like, that one has to end the album. And there was a while
Yeah.
there actually where the album ended on Cannot Be Changed, and it ended on that scream.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh. Okay.
I I ended up taking that away because I didn't want the album to end in anger. I wanted it to end in uh feudal feudal sadness. Like not righteous anger, but like you're mad, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's like so
Resignate, like a resignation kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Cool.
that's so actually, yeah. So, Cannot Be Changed was almost the last song, but it ended up getting switched out at the last minute because there's like five different sequences that I did on that album. But I'm very, very happy with the way that the album came out. I ended up actually for this album hiring Ben Kruger. He was my mixing engineer.
Yeah.
And so like, I sent him all of my tracks and he did his magic. He's been a professional, in the music industry for decades, and he did
Cool.
his magic and really like if you can compare the way that this album sounds like
Oh,
Sonic versus
yeah.
the other albums, it definitely he helped my vision kind of come through. And this album had live drums, which was
Yeah,
a big
you can tell. Yeah. Well, you actually got to perform live not terribly long ago. I'd say within the last year or so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. We did like what, three shows last year? And I haven't done any this year, but again, I've been, every day late, writing. But
Right.
yeah, no, I think we did about three shows last year in support, kind of leading up to the album. So it wasn't like I didn't do any after the album because that was in December. I'm not going to do a concert like around Christmas. But we did a bunch leading up to it, and honestly, like most of the set list ended up
Hmm.
being stuff off of this, but we have to throw on, one more for obscurity I had on there. My Siren is
My
definitely
siren.
on that list when we
Mhm.
go live. The last show we did, we ended up throwing on Enjoy the Silence as a cover.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
I don't do a lot of
Depeche
covers.
Mode, of course.
And it was a Depeche Mode. I mean,
Okay.
before I actually started diving deep into Depeche Mode, Enjoy the Silence was that one and Personal Jesus were the two that I knew. You
Okay.
know,
Sure.
everybody knows those two.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
now I have a much more wide appreciation for their work that they've done, which is good. But yeah, we ended up doing
Mm.
Enjoy the Silence, and that was mostly because I wanted to do Useless. But again, the band was like we should do one that everybody knows that it kind of gets the crowd hype and stuff. And not everybody knows Useless. And I'm like, that's fine. But
Praise for the Ultra album, dude. That's a nice deep
my
cut
favorite.
there. Love it, love
Ultra
it.
is my favorite.
I'm a huge Depeche Mode devotee. Only ever saw them live once, and that was on the Exciter tour. So,
Wow. It came
yeah,
through here just not too long ago, but I
I
didn't buy it
know.
at the time.
Oh, I
I
love Memento Mori. I know this is
the
we're
new album's good.
oh, people are good. That's all I have to say. That track alone is worth the price of admission. So, anyhow, but I digress. Hockey, do you have any questions you'd care to ask
I
Mr.
do.
Lasanta?
Eloy, as I said earlier when we kind of started the show, it's really a pleasure to meet you. I'm excited to, to get to know you a little bit. One of the questions that I do, I want to go ahead and I know that you talked about that you'll probably be revisiting your YouTube channel maybe sometime in the summer. But I'm very interested to know how did you come up with the concept? I mean, it's kind of an interesting concept, Princess Friends. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how you came up with the name and how you
One of my
decided
favorite
to?
things to talk about actually, because
Yeah.
it's a lot of people kind of latch on to the idea of, the purple family and all that stuff. But when I was really deep into Prince, like when I was getting into him was in the 90s. And in the 90s, Prince called all of the fans, he didn't call them fam, he called them friends. He would say, because fan is short for fanatic. And I don't
Hmm.
want to have fans. I would rather have friends come and listen to my music. And that's honestly why the name of the channel is Princess Friend, because I'm one of Prince's friends, which is a stand-in word for fan. Now, of course, over the years that I've done the channel, people are like, "You didn't know Prince," and I'm like, "I know. Like, wait, what's happening here? I never said I did. Well, you said you're his friend. Well, I have to go through the explanation every time. But also I don't mind doing it. So, because anytime I have the opportunity to talk about Prince, I will. I will usually take that opportunity. He is definitely one of my favorite topics, and I can usually bring just about any conversation back to Prince in some way. Uh, Based on how much I know about Prince and how big of an influence Prince has been, on my life. I'm 45 now and I've been listening to him since I was 11, so, the fact that his music is, you know, evergreen, in my opinion, is just one of those amazing things.
I want to talk to you about the word evergreen. So, I'm a big basketball fan, and our local team is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I was watching an interview with one of the younger players, and before all the games, they'll play some Prince music, and usually it's "Let's Go Crazy."
Okay.
And so they had one of the players on there, and the announcer said, "So what do you think about Prince's music, and what do you think about Let's Go Crazy?" And he said, honestly, until I got to was drafted by the Timberwolves, I had never even heard of Prince.
Hmm.
And the announcer was shocked. I was shocked, because my orbit has definitely been purple for so many years.
Mm.
But I wrote an article, about a couple months ago, asking the question, will Prince continue to be relevant? And I only asked that because, when you're on social media and if you have any idea about analytics, it shows you what you search for in your feed. And so if you look for Prince stuff, that's what you're going to get. But if you're outside of that bubble, you're not necessarily going to see that. And so I really begin to wonder is it's like, okay, am I only being fed purple Kool-Aid? And so I have young people in my life, Eloy and Kirk, that are not Prince fans. They know that,
Yeah.
grandpa or dad worked for Prince, but I'm like, is he still relevant? And so I asked that question to you. Do you see a time that maybe Prince might not be as relevant? I mean, I find that almost impossible to fathom, but I wonder.
I've always kind of thought that I don't know. I think Prince always wanted to be relevant, but I think he was also fine being kind of like a cult classic movie, Like
Mm.
not everybody needs to be Citizen Kane. Sometimes we can be Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? It's like Rocky. I use Rocky Horror Picture Show as an example. It's the first thing that came to my brain.
I like it.
But the idea of like, if you don't know about Rocky Horror Picture Show, then that's the weirdest thing ever. But if you know about Rocky Horror Picture Show, you are so about it. You are 100% in that thing, and it becomes such a big thing that you do.
Mm,
Um, and I think that's kind of where Prince lives. I think he's going to continue to be relevant as long as um music is not overtaken by AI. And and as long as musicianship continues to be an important thing in our society. I
mm,
think the moment that if every song sounds the same and that's what everyone wants, then I think people will go, well, no, because he's too different, so he's no longer relevant. But I
mm,
also as relevant, kind of what you said, as relevant as he is to us who all listen to him, I mean, there was definitely a thing. I think there was a phase near the end where Prince was like, actually, I'm okay. I don't need to be quote unquote relevant. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. And, that's kind of always where I've always been is, I've released 3 albums and I go do live shows and I have some people who like love what I do, and musically, but I don't need to like go out there and sell millions and have, stack, stadiums and whatnot. I think everybody has their own
mm,
uh definition of success, if you will. Like for me, just being able to create music is more than enough success. But then, of course, you don't make music to not then let other people hear it.
mm.
Sure. Tell us about some highlights for you of your channel, and then maybe some lowlights. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Kurt and Jay have been a godsend. I've done podcasts and stuff over the years, and when you're trying to do everything by yourself, it
Mm.
can be challenging. So I imagine, that you've kind of maybe faced some of those same challenges. And if so, tell us what that's like, and then tell us about, some of your best times
I
during
mean,
the channel.
I would say that like the biggest downfall of having that kind of general, whether it be a podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, you end up getting those kind of parasocial relationships with people, where they like feel they know you and like you're their friend, even though like I'm recording this, it's not live. I'm recording it and I'm putting it up. So like if
Mm.
it speaks to you, then that's great. But like I don't really know you, and every so often there'll be some people who will be overly familiar. Um, and then, of course, you have the other side of that, which would be the people who immediately will think, oh, well, you just have a YouTube channel and you're just trying to get money. And, that's all you're doing this for. And, honestly, again, my channel started as just me. And it was immediately right after Prince passed was when I started my channel. I got a
Mhm.
lot of why'd you wait until he died to start your channel? And I said because he was here. I didn't have a reason to talk about how much I miss him because he was here. You know? Uh
Mm.
you know until after he was gone and I felt that void that I needed to go and share my thoughts and my love and myself with other people in the Prince community. And I ended up building, something. I mean, you said 34,000, which is crazy. I think last I checked it was 32. So, hey, even in like the last year that I haven't really even posting anything, people are still going there and they're still watching, they're still subscribing. So
Yep.
like I can't be more thankful for that. And that's going to be awesome. Those people are going to be extra excited when I start producing new stuff. They're going to be like, "Whoa, what's this?" Um, so I mean, but in terms of like I would just say I'm a person who likes to engage because I created the channel to engage.
Yep.
And that would be the biggest downside is that people are like, don't read your comments. And I'm like, if I don't read the comments, there's not a point in posting a video. Like I do it for the engagement. But some people are, again, under the veil of anonymity, they can be quite cruel. and they can
Yeah, we call them
things and
keyboard warriors,
I was just gonna
right?
say
I
that.
mean, and
Yep.
and you're right.
fun.
And the advice that I give to anyone that wants to be a content creator, you have to have thick skin because
Mhm.
there's always going to be the trolls out there.
Oh
They're
yeah.
going to be mean and say things, and whatever's going on in their life, I guess that's what they need to do.
Mhm.
Um,
But I will
tell us,
say, in terms of like really good things, and I guess maybe this isn't a really, really good thing, but like I love doing videos that do engage with the community more. I mentioned the game show that I did before, which is I actually got volunteers in the community to come and I like crafted this whole actual game show. It was 4 episodes long. It
Yep.
was, it was 3 episodes of semi-final of like preliminaries, and then the three people who won in those three came in and they competed in the fourth one. That's always that was a lot of fun to put together. I actually have half a season two written out, like in terms of questions and what I would want to do with it. And
Mm.
then I would still need to flesh it out more for it to be, different. I always also usually do, and I didn't do it this year, but doing March Madness brackets have always been a big
yeah,
fun thing to do on my
Yep.
channel, which is, I pit songs against each other, I pit albums against each other, and make people mad in my community. Conflicts
You,
over another, and they're like, "What are you thinking?" And I'll be like, "Hey, if you ask him tomorrow, it could be a completely different, outcome." But you kind of have to go with it in the moment. Um,
yeah,
but you
but
did it in a fun way, though, Eloy. You
I
did it in a
try.
fun way. Yeah.
I do try. I mean, it's all about having fun. If I, the videos that I get the most hits on my channel are why did this person leave the band? Why did that person leave the band, right? And I did a few of those, and then I started getting to people who left the band, and then they were just all just bad stories. They were all, and I was just like, I don't think I want
Mhm.
to do,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
like I could
yeah,
do
for sure.
and get the hits and make the money off of the clicks and the stuff. But I was like, I don't feel right. I don't have fun doing stories about why this person didn't like Prince and that's why he left, or whatever. I think
Yeah.
that was the last one I did was Andre Simone, which was kind of really interesting because I did a video and I did extensive research. By the way, so it wasn't like I just threw it up there. People actually contacted me and was just like, that's not right. Let's tell you the real story. And then if you look at my channel, I have two videos now. I have the one that I did, and then I have this is what Andre said. Because I say, you know, his is going to be his side, right? And then what I researched was a lot of different people saying a lot of different things about what was happening around that time, and
Mhm.
they all contradicted with everything that Andre Simone said. So I didn't want to like take mine down because that was good information, but I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
but that was fun. And that was another reason that I was just like, I don't think I want to do this anymore because it is true. Like these are still like real people too. Like if you're gonna go online and talk about these people, and try to dredge up things, uh,
Yeah.
be prepared to get pushback. And I'm like, I don't really want pushback. I'm not doing this for pushback. I'm just doing this for the fun and for the love of it, right? So I was like, I
Right.
think I'm good. I think I'm good. Like even my Rosie Gaines video, like why
Yeah.
did Rosie Gaines leave? That one was more just to have fun. I said Rosie Gaines probably left because she was tired of just repeating everything Prince said. It's a diamonds and pearls. Like she would just repeat everything he said in every song. And I was just like, that's probably why she left. And then, her daughter, uh, Toya, came
Mhm.
into the comments, was like, none of that's right. And I'm like, I know it wasn't, it was just, it was supposed to be funny. And again, it's like, but these are real people. And if you say something, that they don't necessarily like, then they're going to be like, we don't like that. Um, but anyway, I
Yeah.
just still did like making those videos though.
When I was putting together our questions that we were going to ask you
Mhm.
today, I got a question I often get asked, and I said, you know what, this would be fun to go ahead and ask Eloy this question. So here it is. This is the one that I get asked a lot. But the question is, what's something surprising or misunderstood about Prince that you wish more people really got?
Okay. Um, hmm. I mean, if we're talking, I guess the question would be when you say most people, do you mean most people in our community or most people outside of our community? Because that I think that would be two different answers.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Things
Let's
that
go
are
with our community for now.
I was gonna say,
The
I mean, if
purple
we're talking
community.
about in our community, I feel like the biggest thing that people don't get, and I'll say some people don't get, I'll say half of the people don't get, um, will be just hmm, hmm, how opinions can change over time. And how Prince was a chameleon who was constantly changing his outlook and his appearance and his personality and his politics and everything, like his
Hmm.
religion. So you'll have people who will literally say, well, you know, Prince said that he doesn't see color and we shouldn't think about, you know, that and whatever. And I'll be like, when did he say that? And they'll be like, it was 1986. And I'll be like, yeah, well, in 2014, he said Black Lives Matter. It's like so like what so now what, right? Like you can't take a lot of people take one quote and they just like stick with that, and they think that that's just what this brother's just gonna believe forever. um but also one of my favorite songs, I was just listening to it the other day because I had played it for my son Evan, called What's My Name. And he has a really good line in that, which was, "You never would have drank my coffee if I hadn't served you cream." And that is an amazing line, which is kind of just all about the fact that he was serving the black experience from his perspective, obviously, black music, funk music, and he was packaging it in pop music. So that's the biggest thing, is that a lot of what he
Hmm.
did, especially early on, was subversive. It was so that he could build up that notoriety, he could build up that fame. And then once he had that fame, then he was cool. Like, I got my Paisley Park, I'm good to go, right? I can just make music whatever I want now. Like, I don't have to do anything extra special or try to make a giant spectacle. And he did a few more times after, that. Um, so I mean, because, it's fun to throw a party. It's fun to make a movie. It's fun to do a worldwide tour. It's fun to have a Vegas residency. Those things are fun.
Hmm.
Uh, but I would say even in our community, I feel like there's so many different kind of I don't want to say factions, but there's just a bunch of different kind of groups of people who all are believing they know the one true prince. And I'm here to say there is no one true Prince. Prince was just Prince. Just as there's no one true any one of us. Like, I
Yeah.
am different than I was 10 years ago, and I was different than that from 10 years before that. We're all
Amen.
aliens in our own right if you give us enough time.
Oh yeah.
That's a great point that you brought out, because I often tell people is that he had, in my time that I spent with him, he had this amazing ability to compartmentalize relationships.
Yeah.
I seen as a protector for him a very different Prince than maybe the band members did, and so it's kind of really right in line with your point, Eloy, for sure there. And individuals are going to have their thoughts. Over the years, I've had individuals tell me certain things. It's like, oh, that's not accurate. I said, okay, yeah, whatever you say.
Yeah, and,
But
and,
there's
I,
always
and
going to
again,
be,
I didn't even know the guy, right?
yeah,
But I've always felt that like you kind of know what's happening in Prince's life if you're listening to the music, because he put himself on record, which was really
yeah,
amazing thing that he would do. Like, I literally was listening to Raven to the Joy Fantastic, prepping for the review that I was going to write, and I think when I originally got it, and even up until again maybe a year ago, I listened to it as like a collection of really cool songs. And then as I was kind of delving into it and like dissecting the album, I was like, this whole album is just his divorce. And I'm like, I'm like, wow, that made this album way sadder than it is from any look at any of the individual songs. Like that one has, Baby Nose and like, Tangerine. Like it's not Tangerine. No, yeah, no, was Tangerine.
Tangerine.
And it's got, Undisputed. It's got like all these like really like banging, like awesome tracks. But again, the sequencing, the storytelling, like the order of the songs and the emotion between each song, if you listen to that album, it's literally that album is his divorce from My Day. And it's like, wow.
I love you, but I don't trust you anymore.
And that's like the
Right.
obvious one.
Right.
Like once you kind of examine the album, every song was leading up to that, and then every song after that is his feelings about it, you know. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But that's honestly what I like to do with my reviews, which is again why I also want to kind of get back to those.
Mm.
Is my favorite part of doing my reviews and making my videos is that people come and they listen to my opinion and then they walk away and they go, I never thought of it like that before. And even if they still don't agree with me, they at least can now look at that album through a different lens, even if they don't agree with it.
Cool. It just, and this is why we need you back to put a finer button on it, Eloy. We need you to come back with these things, man. Your perspective is always truly your own. And like you said, Prince isn't just one thing. There were moments where Prince would say he was a vegetarian until he had the urge for Rudolph's barbecue and got, somebody out there to get it for him or something like that. I mean,
I
you
think that was a Neil Carlin's book, if I recall.
it was, but well,
Because he was literally like, yeah, he was a constant contradiction. Which
absolutely.
which is cool, right? And like I'm fine with that. Um, I feel like no one should feel like they have to be pigeonholed into any particular role, like if it doesn't fit who they want to be in that moment. That's how I am. Again, like that's why I am a writer sometimes. I'm a game designer other times. I'm a teacher other times. I'm a musician other times. I'm a YouTube person other times. And then sometimes I have to be a handyman. For my son's birthday, I had to put together a whole trampoline for him. So you have to wear many hats in this life. And the important thing is just to do everything that you can to do your best at everything. Um, like again, like the album came out. I am 100% proud of that album, Disaster. It is such an expression of everything that I felt during that year. But also, I mean, because like half the songs were written during the pandemic, and then the other half were written after the pandemic was over. So like there are some like mega lonely songs on there, and isolating songs and
Sure.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, but but doing that and releasing it, and there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of artists on Spotify. If you just did like a
Yep.
random search of a random thing and you hit play,
Yep.
I would, 70% of it is not good because that's not what people are putting their music on there for. A lot of people are putting their music on there and wanting to just, they just like they recorded in their room and they didn't mix it right and they didn't actually care about songwriting and they can't really play any of the instruments, and it's interesting because I do that every so often where I'll just go click on a random thing and sometimes it's amazing and I'm like add definitely,
Yep.
and in other times I'm like wow, like uh somebody did not take the care that was necessary to make sure that this was going to be in its best form. And even from like my YouTube channel, like if you look at my YouTube channel, from the very beginning, I always did like editing. I always tried to do graphics. I always tried to get good at my tools and doing that sort of thing. I did the same thing in my game design. I learned how to do all the aspects of layout and the game design and the publishing. And, it's, if you are not willing to put everything that you have into it, it's not worth doing.
And I tell you, we had Chris on talking about Funkatopia not that long ago, when it was just Jay and myself. Hucky was not actually able to be there in person on the interview. One thing he remarked about your channel is he always made it look like a news station was on. How does he do that? How does he do that? Was one main comment.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. How is he doing that? So you always had this news station like presentation what you do. Let me ask you a question because you are a hat rack. You are definitely a hat. I mean, you know your father, your husband,
Oh, I see what you
but
mean. Okay.
okay. So you wear many hats, right? So one of those hats that we didn't talk about, and I didn't bring up in the introduction, is you taught a college course, or and are still teaching that, correct?
That program has been we didn't do it this year. I think they might be starting it back up next year. But I guess we're skipping a year and
Can you
doing
talk
it.
a little bit about the college course that you taught?
Yeah, I was actually teaching game design. The because I've been doing game design now for over 15 years. Wow, that's crazy.
Wow. Oh wow,
Uh,
that long.
yeah,
Wow.
I've been doing it well since 2008. So I don't
Okay.
know. So almost 20 years.
Wow.
I've been doing game design for a long time, and the Central Michigan University was looking for game designers who were interested in teaching game design. And I found it, through friend of a friend, through, from friend of a friend. And it was one of those kind of like surreal moments because they were like, if you were to teach a class, what would it be about? And I said, well, it probably would be this. And I just sent them a syllabus because I had already thought about this a billion times. So I already knew what I would have taught. And then yeah, I think we did that for a good like 3 years
Wow.
where I was teaching game design, which was yet another thing that I was doing. Um, and same thing with even with my interpretations of Prince's music, that also goes into my game design, where I design games in a different way than other people design games. So people will come in with a game that they already have designed, and I will then teach them the way that I do it, and then they'll be like, "Wow, I have to start over again because wow, you've like made me think of the game design in a completely different way." Um, and that's not, it's not necessarily, me trying to, up myself. Like I literally had students tell me that. So, I take their
That's
word
what
for
counts.
I will exactly. So I mean, just the fact that I was able to do that. I mean, then the classes were, small and intimate. I got to actually really get to know these game designers, and hopefully they're going to be, the next generation of game designers out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you have built this loyal community with Prince's Friend, right? Um, how how do I want to put this? What does it mean to be? You've been along with these other content creators that have been talking about Prince for years.
Yeah.
Like I just mentioned, Christopher at Funkatopia, Michael Dean at Podcast Jews, the podcast on Prince, which is how I came to know Hucky
Yeah.
by listening to Hucky's interview with Michael Dean, and eventually led to us actually having a rapport. How does it feel to be such a huge influence in the Prince fam community, and with along with these other podcasters? How has that impacted you?
The crazy thing is that I never really set out to be that, and it just sort of happened.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it happened because um I have a unique take. Michael Dean is very, radio, very kind of old school Prince, that sort of thing. Whereas I have always more gravitated towards later Prince, and the YouTube sphere. There were other YouTubers as well. And I don't necessarily even know why they never really got as much traction as I ended up getting. Um, I think I really don't know how it even happened. How do I feel about it happening? I love it. I love it and hate it, just like anything, you know.
Got
Uh,
it.
I love it, especially when it comes to like going to Minneapolis. I love getting like recognized on the street. And people will be like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I'll be like, "Well, yeah." Like, well, I'm not, if taking a picture with me is gonna make your day better, yes, let's do that, right? Uh, you know, um, but I feel like the thing that it allowed me to do again is it opened me up to being able to interact with more people who are even bigger Prince friends than I am. Like I even would say that they are Prince fam and I am Prince friend, right? Like I feel like if you're in the family,
Right.
you're like you can't talk bad about them. You can't, like everything has to be peachy, everything has to be good, and everybody has to be happy. And if
Right.
you're the friend, you can be like, yo, like that part wasn't that great. So like, and that's kind of what I do. I remember when I was doing the original like Time albums, the reviews for those, and that was the first time that I had ever learned about really the deep connection between Prince and the Time and how he kind of screwed them over their entire career. And
Yeah.
I called that out in my video and I was like, yeah, Prince was kind of a jerk. Like he was really, really bad in that aspect, because like Morris Day and all of them, they were just like, can we just want to do our thing. And he's like, nope, it's mine. And it's just like that's not cool. But again, Prince
Mm.
can be a musical genius and an a-hole. Everything. It's like he can be both. And actually,
He
as a
can be
matter of fact,
human. You mean you're allowing Prince to be human? What?
exactly.
I,
But honestly, that I think that's part of why people come to my channel is I can really just only give you my interpretation of Prince. And it really makes me happy to know that so many people vibe with the way that I view Prince.
ooh, I like how you put that word in there. Thank
Oh
you
yes,
so
of
much.
course. How they
Uh,
electrically vibed with me.
oh my God. But it is about optics, though, especially when you're doing a format like YouTube, and you've really crafted a really nice your opening credits, your end credits, how you list your folks that are on Patreon. You do have a professional aesthetic, and that shows, and that's what people come for.
Yeah.
They
Well, I
know
mean,
there's going to be consistency to the product
and I
that you
grew and I
bring.
grew into that, obviously. I mean, if you
Yeah.
watch some of my earlier ones, this my like my baby's crib is behind me, and like the room. I recorded in the back of my kitchen for like a good 6 months because we had a like kitchen nook area there, and I set up my office there. And there are so many videos of just piles of dirty dishes behind me. It's like I grew into the thing where like I have a backdrop and I have good lighting and like I have the professional mic. Like I grew into that.
You've got the man cave now. You've had this man cave. So
I converted the whole garage is it's where I make music, it's where I do videos, it's where I do everything now. Um
yeah,
so yeah, so I did grow into that, but yeah, now a lot of people have come to, you know, expect that, which is good because it's super easy to do now because I already have all the tools.
yeah.
Uh
You have the template that
yeah,
how you do things, so to speak. Yeah.
exactly. So I mean that part's easy. Um, but I just want to do one quick shout out because I believe his birthday just passed recently. But like one of the highlights, because again, this is ADHD brain. I'm going back now to Hucky's earlier question as well. One of the biggest highlights I think that that I never thought was going to happen was I got to meet Wally Sappin. Um,
Oh man.
and, the anniversary of his death just kind of passed I think
Oh, did yeah, I know.
a little bit
Yeah.
ago. Um, and like he was one of those brothers that was just like he was just real. He was just so awesome. And like I met him and we just immediately vibed. We just because we went to a Moody Man concert at Paisley together, which was really cool. And Moody Man was very nice as well. But like I met WallE on that trip and we exchanged information, and like we would just talk to each other every few months, and didn't even have anything to do with Prince. We were talking about our family, we were talking about our upbringing. Like, I really got to know WallE, and he was just an amazing dude. And I was like so bummed when he passed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I want to jump in there. I mean, obviously,
Please.
I knew WallE for many years, and out of all the people that passed, I mean, from my mentor, Big Chick, to Prince, so many different people. WallE is probably one that I absolutely miss the most.
yeah.
He One thing that people just don't realize, he was one of the funniest cats
So
that you
funny.
ever wanted to be around. And so like if I was having a bad day, if I just needed somebody to talk to, I would call WallE up. And also too, his memory was amazing. So he would like tell me, he was like, Hucky, don't you remember this? I'm like, no, man, I don't remember that. But he had this total recall that was just so amazing.
Hmm.
But yeah, that one really, really hurt. I mean, we just lost this wonderful guy by the name of Skip Johnson, who was a crew person
Hmm.
on many tours. He's a great guy, but as we're getting older, we're starting to see a lot of our friends passing now. But Wally was really something special. And there's not many days that go by that I don't think about Wally. Yeah, wonderful, funny human being.
Yeah.
I only ever got to casually chat with him on Facebook, actually, and
Honestly,
was
that's
going to try to
all.
interview him, but yeah, he passed about a month or two before I got a chance to bring him on.
Oh gosh.
So yeah,
Tell
same
me
with
about
Cat.
and what's coming up for your band and you and your music.
Please,
So, yeah, let's make it not sad anymore. Good idea.
please,
Good idea. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to the show.
no, not at all.
He's been on my mind recently because he passed. So
Of course.
anniversary just kind of came up. Um, yeah, no. Disaster was released. In, like I said, the tail end of 2024. And it's been doing, pretty well on streaming. I have no complaints really about it. It's not doing gangbusters, billions and stuff like that, but it's getting respectable numbers. People are really, really enjoying it. We do have I'm already recalibrating with the band for the summer to start doing some more shows during the summer, which should be fun. And
Cool.
I already have the next. I mean, I have like a few songs already written for the next album because I do have ideas, but also I have like ideas for like 4 or 5 different concepts for albums that could come. So
Oh,
I've been more just kind of toying around with different ideas. The biggest thing that I think I probably will end up doing in terms of releases is, again, there were a bunch of songs that ended up on the cutting room floor, and I may end up releasing those as possibly singles because they weren't cut because they were bad. They were cut just because they didn't fit the final vision. But there were some really good songs that didn't end up getting released, so I will probably end up releasing those between now and the end of the year or so. And then probably 2026 for another album. It doesn't usually take me that long to really get an album like gelling. This Disaster took so long. That was more post-production stuff because the mixing and the mastering and all of that stuff took a long time because I was really trying to get a very specific sound. And I think that was the main thing. And also the
mhm.
sequel, that was a big deal.
Mm.
Wanted the album to flow a certain way. I wanted it to end, again, like you said, Kurt, like Hauntless, it when the album ends, you feel like bleak. And that's and that's not what everybody wants, but that's what I wanted out of the album. That's what I wanted
You
out of it.
know, that's not my takeaway on it.
Really.
Because I analyze music because of who I am.
Okay.
I was listening to your vocals, and I was like, "That's probably the one of the finer vocal takes I've heard you do on your projects of all the 3 albums." So, from In My Head to Chaos All to this one, I see the growth exponentially, particularly in the sound, but in the vocal technique too.
Thank you.
That yeah, man,
I
you've
challenged myself more on this album.
you
Uh,
gotta.
that was what I was doing. The last album, the first album was more like I'm learning how to even do this. Chaos All was where I was kind of really playing around with bass lines and stuff like that.
Mhm.
This album was it is guitar heavy for a reason because I was really focusing on guitar. That's why most of the songs have guitar solos on them. Because I really want I was really practicing my that, and then I ended up getting Chris Baum to come on and do some amazing drums on it. And I auditioned a few different drummers, and he's a metal drummer, so I ended up he ended up adding his own flair to it, and I was like, oh, this is so good now, especially like the song "Have You Met Me." You can
Yes.
at like
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
drum just gets progressively crazier and crazier to the end where he's got like the
The
kick.
double pedal work, yeah. Hmm.
Oh, it's so good. Which actually fit with everything else that was happening on that song because that song does get progressively bigger and bigger with everything else, so it
Cool.
fit as well for the drums. Um but yeah, no, I mean the a lot of the songs on there are challenges that I had to myself. Um, so that was a big deal for me. Like Have You Met Me was I wanted a short song with as many lyrics as I could fit into it. Um, which is why I'm like blah blah blah, it's a motor mouth on that song. Then the song Said Everything was actually the opposite, where I wanted a longer song and I wanted to see how few lyrics I could write for it and it still be powerful.
Cool.
Um, like that was a big deal for me. So anyway,
Well, can I bring up a subject? Two words. Mount Rushmore,
yes,
part two.
you should do that more. I think the last, just for the listeners, I guess, the Mount Rushmore video that we did for Princess Friend was the what was our Mount Rushmore of songs. So like, what four songs would you
The
put up?
decades. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Did it by decades. So like that was a fun video.
That was.
I kind of want to go back and watch it because I don't even remember what I said.
Dude. Well, I bring that up because I got into your orbit formally because of Chris Lacey. And I have to give a shout out to Chris.
Yeah,
I have I've seen his posts on Facebook. I've just been busy with other stuff, but I wish Chris, if you're out there, if you're watching this, hope he's
definitely.
doing well. And Alcy, your buddy Alcy, who plays guitar as well,
Yeah.
musician.
Oh yeah, Elsie's doing. He
Yes,
see videos of like his live shows that he's doing. He's doing
I
really
know.
over. He's in California, so we don't like hang out or anything. But Elsie's awesome.
Yeah. So good. We just want to give a shout out to Chris and Elsie because it's been a while since I've seen them. So
Should do
hi
some
guys.
So I'm curious. So I'm gonna throw one out. Who's on your Mount Rushmore for artists?
in terms of artists, like in
Yeah.
general. I mean, I would probably say, well, I guess who are the other three? I guess is the question because Prince is
Are
one of them.
you a
Mhm.
Um,
jazz guy?
what's that?
Are you a jazz guy?
I would say not necessarily. I
Okay.
am one of the few people who listen to Prince and didn't go jazz or funk. I didn't go in that direction. I went in the rock direction.
Okay.
So like my Mount Rushmore's probably Prince, Trent Reznor,
Oh
who is amazing, who was also influenced by Prince. He freaking loves Prince.
yes. Yep.
Um, and then probably Fiona Apple. I really love Fiona Apple.
Mm.
She's amazing artistically.
She's a
Um,
maverick in
she's
her own right.
in her own right, 100%.
Yep.
Um, and if I was gonna do a fourth one, I don't know off the top of my head, Damon Albarn, maybe? Like, just with everything that he's done with the Gorillas is just like I've yet to not like a Gorilla project. Like there's just not been one that I didn't like. Uh,
Mm.
so it might be him, it might be Robert Smith,
The
could be Tori
Cure.
Amos. Like there's a bunch of people it could be. I don't
Oof.
know.
Hucky, I'm going to ask you that question since we're on
Yeah.
the topic. What are your who are your Mount Rushmore?
Well, I love jazz. So
Yes, I do.
Wayne Shorter would probably be there. Probably gonna do Miles Davis,
Mm.
Prince, and then maybe Marvin Gaye.
Oh, God, those are tough ones to beat.
I guess what would yours be, Kurt? I mean, I guess since that's what we're doing.
Well, I would see. I would have to break it up by genre. I
Yeah.
mean, if I had to think of all time people who moved me the most,
Right.
I would say Prince, of course, is definitely in there. Peter Gabriel,
Okay.
absolutely no question. Peter Gabriel. I would have to put Zeppelin in there because, and I am in a Zeppelin covers band, but I have to put them in there because the marriage of I think some of Robert Plant's actually solo albums and lyric wise and musical wise actually excel some of that stuff. So I mean, Zeppelin, Robert Plant in there. Katie Lang. Katie Lang is one. Her album Ingenue is just simply one of the most perfectly crafted song cycles. It defies a category. It's not country because she was known early in her career as a country album. It's a torch song album, and it's got country leanings towards it. But she could easily. I almost could take her out and put Lady Gaga in there, and I'll tell you why. Because to me, her and Katie Lang kind of have a similar vein, except Katie Lang doesn't really act well in movies or didn't really do movies except for a movie called Salmon Berries, which nobody saw. But it's that old school vaudevillian aesthetic that doesn't really exist in today's world. Lady Gaga, to me, I'll put Lady Gaga there. Katie Lang just has an amazing voice, but as far as a songwriter, performance, somebody who can kind of do it all, Lady Gaga is just, she can act well. I mean, she just has it all. She can easily vacillate between doing her banger club music and then go and sing with Tony Bennett with an equal ease. And she was also she was also in a Led Zeppelin covers band. Many people don't know that.
I thought we were for sure going to get BT Express or KC.
You always bring up BT Express. You did that one video to me. We were interviewing a heavy metal guy, John Gallagher of Raven, Eloy, and he goes, Kurt, who do we have on today? Is it BT Express? I'm like, do it till you're satisfied. I'm like, love it, Huggy.
Well, so I'm always trying to throw one into the stump them. I'm going to do it one of these days.
Yeah. Listen, if any of the surviving members of BT Express are available for an interview, let's bring them on, Huck. That's what I say to that. So, anyhow, Eloy, dude, first of all, it's great to see you.
Yes.
Talk to you again. You look great. You look like you're doing well. I know you've been through a lot these last couple of years. And again, my heartfelt condolences to the loss of your mom. I know how I would feel. I still got mine. She's going to be 82 in August and still works full time, I might add. So it's a miracle and a blessing. You know, I never take that for granted. So I know you've been through a lot, and it's just great to see you and hear you. And whenever you decide to come back, in the way that you come, in the only way you know how, we're all in the Prince fam community, friend community, are looking forward to seeing what you have for us next, because you are missed greatly in the community.
Appreciate that a lot. Honestly, I miss doing it as well. But as I said before, the longer you're away from it, the easier it is to kind of stay away from it. And the idea here is that I'm going to force myself to do it, and it'll work out.
Oh, it'll be like riding a bike. So Hucky, thank you so much again, Eloy. Really, this is great to have you back on.
Good to meet you,
Hucky. And you get the one and only Huggy Austin here, who is an OG in this whole thing. I mean, it's just, let me tell you how blessed and highly favored I feel having him in our orbit here. So Huggy, you know how I feel, man, and I just want to say it's an honor to have you with us as well. As I always say before we end every episode, before we close this out, that it's we are just honored and pleased to have all this entertainment that's around us, but at the same time, the world needs other voices to lift us up. And as I like to often say, and this means more now than ever, before I do all the cursory, hit the like button and subscribe, all our streaming formats and whatever, all the things that you have to say, because we do want to bring on folks like Eloy and other amazing interviews that we've had thus far. Uh, a rising tide lifts all boats, and that can go for the Prince fam community, the podcasting community. But right now, we need to lift each other up more than ever. Hucky?
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Elo, it was really, really, really good and fun to get to know you a little bit, man. And next time you're in Minneapolis, I'm hoping that we can connect and take you around the city and show you some things that you'll be able to use on your next YouTube video.
That
Get
sounds fun, dude. Count me
some good
in.
stuff. And also share some WallE stories with you as well.
Definitely.
So
I
yeah.
mean, a lot of those, of course, we can't put in a video.
Couple PG versions. We'll try to get them on there. And I just want to say to our brother Jay, who wasn't able to be with us tonight,
Yeah.
know that you were missed, and we look forward to connecting with you real soon. I'm real simple. We live in some very challenging times. People can be so unkind, so I'm just asking everybody to be kind to one another. And also, too, Eloy, tell us the where we can follow you, find out more about you and your band and your music, and get to know you more.
Sure. I mean, definitely, again, the new album Disaster from Strays of the World is on all the streaming platforms. The Facebook page, I think, is where we're most active because I haven't tweeted anything in a long time for reasons, for the same reason a lot of people haven't. Um, but uh,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, that's definitely stream the music. Again, there's 3 albums worth plus a bunch of singles. I got remixes and all kinds of stuff up there if you're into that sort of thing. If you're into the game design and stuff that I do, you can check that out. That's at thirdeyegames.net or at Third Eye Games if you just want to do a search online. Again, I'm
We'll have
writing
the links. We'll have the links for you. Yeah.
writing a novel again for Choice of Games. So, if you want to check out Choice of Games now to prepare yourself for when my epic novel comes out, feel free to go ahead and check that out.
Let's have you back on for that too. When that's properly launched, we'd love to have you back. And make sure the Three Musketeers will be there to
You
help
want me on?
that launch. Absolutely. Well, again, folks, thanks for tuning in. Again, if you like what you saw and heard, please, of course, tell a friend about this. We're on all streaming formats: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you get your listening pleasure. If you're watching us, of course, you can subscribe to YouTube. Thanks again, and peace.